Oh, it's cold. Oof. Where was I? All right, carrying on the part 2 of today's training session about cold calling and breaking your ice on your first sale that would lead you to your second, third, and many sales ahead. Cold calling requires a lot of practice. You need to practice, and practice makes perfect. You can make as many wrong, a lot of mistakes, amateur cold calls, but that's okay. That is perfectly okay. So as part 2, I'm going to give you a couple of more solutions in order for you to no longer fail in cold calling. Solution number 5. End with strong call to action when you're cold calling. So let's say you're able to keep the client on the phone for the first few seconds, and you're able to convey the highest value in your program, and that's why he's going to be continuing to take your call when you make a follow-up. And the common reasons, or one of the reasons why cold call fails, is when the telemarketer or when the salesperson failed to end with a strong call to action. So how does that work? If you listen to the first part of this video, you can see when I did my role playing at the very beginning of the call, I shared with you a very conversational script where I made sure that I'm ending the call with a strong call to action. What was my call to action there? Making sure that he's committing to pick up my call at 5 p.m. But at the same time, the purpose of that is for me to explain further what are the 2 main benefits with the highest value offered for him to pick up the call when I call him at 5 o'clock. Again, a lot of salespeople fail when they cold call and they end up the call with no call to action. Sometimes you would say, okay, Mr. Smith, okay, I'll call you later. Okay, I'll call you then. Bye. I'll call you tomorrow. Have a good day. There's no call to action there. And how many times have you lost your connection with your client when you call them back at 5 p.m. or tomorrow? There's so many lost sales because there's no call to action, or there was no strong call to action from the salesperson. Don't just say, bye, I'll talk to you tomorrow. You're not calling a friend. You're calling a prospect. The prospect who will give you a sale. So just remember that call to action is within your control. And if you again go back to the first part of this video, please watch again the sample role play I've given you so you understand better how this is so valuable and so effective on not losing your client when you follow them up and when you're basically trying to get the sale from him. Now, speaking of follow-up, this is the solution number 5 on how to not fail anymore on cold calling. Let's talk about using technology to your advantage when you're making a follow-up, either at 5 o'clock, either tomorrow. I've mentioned this in one of my training videos. I will mention this again in today's video because maybe some of you have not watched this in the past or in my previous cold calling or sales training videos. And since we're talking about follow-ups, let me share with you how this would help you excel in cold calling. So we know already that cold calling is simply talking to a stranger. They don't know how you look like. They only know how you sound like. And even if they know how you sound like, that's the first time for them to hear you or you hear your voice. Now, my sixth solution is use technology to your advantage when you're doing your follow-up. Stay with me here. Your client have not seen you. When you do your follow-up, you want him to see you. Everyone in this day and age have a smartphone. How many times do you follow up your client via text, via email? Endless. Sometimes they respond, sometimes they don't. But let's face it, most often than not, we just scroll through the emails and the messages and we just forget about it or not care about it. Now, how is that going to work with cold calling? Let me give you a role play. I'm going to use my handphone to follow up my client. Not only to get the sale, because that will be a process, but just to stay connected with my client or my prospect. And this is the best way to follow up because we want to use and take advantage of the technology when you're following up. So this is how it's going to work. Here's my phone. I'm going to hit video record and I'm just going to send a very brief video message follow-up to Mr. Smith. This is how it's going to work. Hi, Mr. Smith. Good afternoon, sir. How are you today? I've met you or I've spoken to you yesterday and I'm just sending you a quick video message to just remind you of your 2 complimentary night stay that you can use locally and overseas. And I'm happy to go through the mechanics of your privilege on our next conversation. I understand you would like me to call you back at 5 o'clock today as your best timing. So I'm just giving you a heads up that I will be calling you, sir, at 5 p.m. today to explain to you the rest of the valuable benefits that we have reserved for you today. Have a good day, Mr. Smith. I'll speak to you later. Bye for now. So how does that sound to you? I could also bombard him with text messages. I could also email him that I'm following you up. But not only that you're cold calling, you also want to make sure that you're kind of going behind cold calling to a certain extent, which is you're cold calling, but you're following up in a more personal way by showing your face, and your client remembers your voice and your prospect is reminded of what he's meant to be receiving. When you speak at 5 p.m., you're going to explain how that would work for him. I don't guarantee that you're going to get a sale when you do this, but I can guarantee you one thing. It's something more connecting between you and your prospect. It's again breaking the ice. It's again making cold calling no longer be cold calling. Making cold calling no longer that cold. Because you're already showing your face, you're already sending a video message, and I think this is something you can try when you're doing cold calling follow-ups in order for you to just take advantage of the technology that connects people, because that's what technology is all about all this time. Just like my video. I'm connecting to you, you're watching my video, I'm looking at you in the eye. So this is exactly the main purpose of the solution I've just shared with you. Give it a try. Comment down below if you've tried it, if it worked, brilliant, and share it to our community. So, another solution before I finally close today's training session is to make sure that you overcome objections gracefully. Objections is going to be predominantly part of your sales presentation. Whether you're doing face-to-face selling, whether you're doing telesales or cold calling, salespeople, this is part of the game. We need to embrace it, we need to understand it, and we need to master how to handle every single objection. I've got a lot of objection videos, a couple of objection videos in my playlist. Please do check it out if this is something challenging for you. But for today's topic, I just want to kind of touch on that a little bit while we are trying to figure out how to no longer fail in cold calling. Overcome objection gracefully. How do you overcome objection gracefully? I think it's very self-explanatory, but it's hardly practiced. How many of you have, as a client, receive a cold call or a sales call and you gave one objection? Let's say one objection is, let me think about it. And suddenly, the salesperson on the other line, the tone suddenly drop. Something in the line of, oh, okay. Or something in the line of, why do you say that? What made you say that? If you can sell, that's one thing. But if you can't overcome objections, you might as well not be in sales. Because to succeed in sales, you need to overcome objections. And for this particular point I'm giving you now, you need to overcome objections gracefully. How do you overcome objections gracefully? Empathy. You need to show empathy to every single client, to every single objection that they give you. For instance, instead of saying, oh, what made you say that? Handling that objection gracefully would be as simple as, oh, I could understand how you would need to think about this offer. I could understand why you need to think about it. There's too much information, there's too much benefits. I could really understand that. I probably would do the same thing. You're not only handling the objection gracefully, but you're also selling effectively. I hope today's training session is useful for you as much as it's been for me for many, many, many years. I'll see you on the next training session. If you want more cold calling videos, you please hit this or this. There's a lot of videos in my playlist. I think I'm already on over 100 videos. It's free, it's good, it's 2025. Let's get better with sales technique. Let's get better with our skills. Remember, cold calling is only bad when you're not doing it right. See you on the next training session. It's cold. I gotta go back inside. Bye.